The moment Arohi Malhotra realized she was standing outside a sunlit cathedral draped in white roses, listening to wedding bells meant for the man who once promised her forever, her knees nearly gave out. It was midday, the sky painfully blue, guests laughing as if heartbreak did not exist. That was when she turned, eyes burning, and begged the one man no one would ever expect to be part of her story, a calm, impossibly composed CEO millionaire whose presence felt like a wall against the chaos of her life. She asked him to pretend to be her date for just one day, not knowing that one day would change everything. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and unexpected turns of fate, take a second right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Midnight Tales. Because stories like this are born from believing that broken hearts can still find light. Arohi had not planned to attend the wedding. She had rehearsed excuses, feigned confidence, and told herself that moving on meant not looking back. Yet there she was, daylight spilling across the marble steps, memories crashing into her chest like waves. Her ex, Raghav Suri, was marrying someone else. Someone chosen not for love, but for convenience, money, and social standing. Arohi had loved him before success polished him into a stranger, before ambition replaced tenderness. Now she felt small in her simple dress, clutching a purse that carried nothing but old hopes. She came because she wanted closure, but closure arrived dressed as humiliation when familiar faces recognized her, whispered, and smiled with pity. That was when she noticed Vivenkana standing slightly apart from the crowd, sunlight catching the sharp lines of his tailored suit. He was known across business pages as the youngest self-made CEO in the city, a man rumored to be ruthless, distant, and untouched by emotion. Yet his eyes that day were not cold. They were observant, steady, and strangely kind. Arohi had met him only once before, during a charity exhibition in broad daylight where he had quietly bought her late father's painting without bargaining. She remembered that he listened more than he spoke. In her moment of desperation, she walked toward him, heart pounding, dignity hanging by a thread. The request left her lips as a plea shaped by pride and pain. She needed to walk into that wedding with her head held high, needed to show herself, and everyone else, that she had not been discarded. Vivan studied her, taking in the tremble she tried to hide, the courage it took to ask a stranger for such a fragile favor. He could have declined. He had meetings, influence, and a life untouched by emotional messes. Instead, he nodded, not out of arrogance or thrill, but because something in her quiet strength reminded him of a time when he, too, had been underestimated. They entered together under the open noon sky, sunlight streaming through stained glass, casting colors on the floor like fragments of shattered promises. Murmurs followed them, turning into stunned silence as recognition dawned. The powerful CEO at Arohi's side shifted the narrative instantly. Raghav noticed. His smile faltered, confusion flickering across his face. Arohi felt the shift like a breath after drowning. She did not gloat. She did not perform. She simply stood tall, her hand resting lightly on Vivan's arm, feeling steady for the first time in months. As the ceremony unfolded, Arohi's emotions surged and settled like tides. She remembered nights spent building dreams with Raghav and mornings when he chose ambition over love. Beside her, Vivan remained present, never overstepping, never pretending affection beyond what was asked. Yet in his silence, there was respect. During the reception held under bright afternoon canopies, he listened as she spoke about rebuilding her small art studio after her father's passing, about fear, resilience, and learning to stand alone. He shared nothing of his wealth or power, only the quiet truth that success had cost him connection. Time passed differently in that sunlit space. What began as pretense softened into something honest. Raghav attempted to approach, regret poorly disguised as curiosity, but Arohi realized she no longer needed answers from him. Closure was not an apology or jealousy. It was the calm in her chest. Vivan did not rescue her. He reminded her that she had never been powerless. When the wedding ended and guests dispersed into the golden afternoon, she expected him to step away, favor fulfilled, paths diverging. Instead, Vivan walked her to the steps where it had all begun. He told her that one day of pretending had shown him how rare sincerity had become in his world. He admired her courage, her refusal to harden despite betrayal. Arohi felt seen, not as someone to be saved, but as someone worth choosing. They parted with no promises, only a shared understanding that something meaningful had begun. Not because of revenge, but because of kindness. Days turned into weeks, daylight meetings into long conversations, and support into partnership. Viva invested in her studio, not as a CEO, but as someone who believed in her vision. Arohi learned that love did not need to arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrived quietly, holding space for healing. Together, they built something rooted in respect, not fear. The memory of that wedding faded, replaced by mornings filled with purpose and afternoons warmed by trust. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that dignity can be reclaimed and love can rise from unexpected places, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Your support helps stories like these reach hearts that need them. Before the end, we have a special request. Comment the word second chance below if you believe one brave moment can rewrite an entire life. Arohi never pretended again. Not to be strong, not to be happy, not to be loved. Under the honest light of day, she learned that sometimes asking for help does not make you weak. It opens the door to a future you never imagined.